Most athletes over 40 aren't losing strength, they're losing resilience. And if you're over 40 and still playing the sport, you're probably doing something to improve your strength. And you notice that you can still push hard, but your recovery window is much larger. And that's not due to aging, that's due to lost capacity. Strength is our ability to lift things once. Resilience is our ability to bounce back from what we're doing. And the problem is that a lot of you are doubling down on trying to get stronger or getting gadgets like foam rollers and tools instead of fixing the things that make you more durable. In terms of getting stronger, our muscles will adapt quite quickly, but things like our tendons won't, especially if we're not giving them the input they need. And over 40, these are more the injuries that I see in my clinic. Things like upper hamstring tears at the tendon or adductor tears, pec tears, these sort of things. They're often tendon-based tears. And if we're not doing something to address the tendon itself, putting load into those tendons, then we're not going to be resilient there. One way we can do that is coming into end range movement, so just simply holding tension. We want to make sure we're transferring load into the tendon so that we're resilient in this tissue. Things like massage guns and foam rollers feel good at the time, but they don't do anything to help our body improve its ability to recover. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're going to go in the gym and you're going to bench press the bar only in a short range, not even a full movement for say 5 reps. You're probably going to pull up all right the next day. But if you went in and you loaded up with 100 kilos through a full range, you're probably going to notice that you're pulling up sore because that's because you're exceeding your capacity. If we can bring our capacity up to be strong through our full range of motion, then we're going to improve our body's ability to recover, and you might not even feel sore after the things that you're doing. When I first started teaching people about range of motion, this sort of thing, mobility wasn't even a word that we were using, but mobility is a big thing now, and everyone has this sense that they need to do it. And what that means is we're doing these exercises where we're flowing and we're doing these big kind of movements that look really nice on Instagram, and especially look nice when you have all these bendy chicks who haven't had to do any work to get there do it. But the thing is, if there's some sort of restriction in that larger movement and you're not addressing it, you're just going to train a compensation pattern. In my system, we look to target joints where you may be restricted or weak in, and then train our brain around using them in the bigger movements, because these bigger movements are more an expression of what you can do rather than necessarily there to improve any function as such. Over 40, stretching is a big thing, and it's certainly something that nearly all of my clients come in talking about. However, most people are doing it wrong. One, we're not hitting it with enough intensity. If we want to make changes to our tissue, we need to make sure that we're putting load into our stretches, whether that just means pushing into our stretches, holding a weight, whatever. Because this is not only going to make sure that we have some sort of muscle adaptation, we actually can see muscle fiber change. It also means we're going to transfer load into the tendon, which, as mentioned before, is important. The thing people are doing wrong is using stretching as a recovery tool after training. Stretching itself isn't going to help you recover after training. As a matter of fact, it may actually slow recovery due to creating more muscle damage post-training. So again, recovery comes down to increasing capacity, not necessarily having these things that we do after training, other than things like food and sleep, which we'll talk about next. And it's the simple things that most people are missing in terms of their recovery strategies: good sleep patterns and smart nutrition. So in terms of nutrition, we want to be taking in carbohydrates within 15 minutes of training. This is important for attenuating the inflammatory response to exercise as well as the immune response, which is obviously more important around cold and flu season. Protein is the big thing that everyone does post-exercise, but as long as you're taking in protein at regular intervals throughout the day and you're reaching that protein intake that you're aiming for, you don't need to hit that straight after exercise. Carbohydrate is an important thing. As mentioned, stretching isn't an ideal recovery tool post-training, but doing some gentle movement, some of these bigger mobility type things are beneficial post-training because we're increasing blood flow. And that blood flow can do well for taking away some of those byproducts in our muscle from exercise and helping our recovery in that fashion. Life and sport happens in 3 dimensions, and most people are just training in one, whether that's in the gym or with their stretching and mobility training as well. So we need to make sure that we're allowing our muscles to respond to 3 planes of motion, and not just 3 planes of motion, 3 planes of motion with varying loads and varying speed. We want to make sure our body is ready for all these different movements, because you always get injured in the positions that you haven't trained for. So bringing these three-dimensional patterns into your stretching, mobility, and your strength training is a really important one to stay resilient. So the good news is resilience is a trainable thing. You won't just feel younger, you'll actually perform better in your sport and pull up a lot better too. Load the ends, strengthen the tendons, training 3 planes of motion. Recovery is not about a spa day with cucumber on your eyes. It's about making sure you improve your capacity. And if you're over 35, 40, 50, whatever, and you want to stay in the sport you love without falling apart, make sure you check out my Stretch Yourself Strong Foundations program. It's the only program that trains flexibility, mobility, strength all together in a progressive fashion so that you stay strong and resilient. Hopefully I've given you some ideas here that are going to help you have some longevity in your sport. Remember, strong is good, but resilience is what matters.